Trish, and in today's video I'll be speaking about something that most expats or people living abroad don't really talk much about, and that is loneliness while living abroad or working abroad. I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, moving on to the video. So the first couple of weeks of moving abroad are one of the most exciting times of your life. I mean, you're in a new city, you're in a new country. There's just so many possibilities. You can explore your city, see what's in, you can explore neighboring cities. It's just so exciting. However, once you get a routine and you start, I don't know, if you're a student, you start going to class. If you're someone who's going abroad to work, you start, attending work, and you have this routine, then you start needing to fill up your free time, right? And filling up your free time would entail spending time with friends and family at home. But when in China, those people aren't around, which means there's not really much you can do. And the things that you can do, like travel or like, I don't know, watch movies, aren't always that fun when you're doing them all by yourself, which means that you can get pretty lonely. So these are my tips to coping with this. It can also get pretty lonely because in a country such as China, not many people speak English unless you're in a big city like Shanghai or Beijing or Guangzhou, where you can actually get to speak to locals who can speak your language, English, right? But if you're in a small city like moi, it's very hard to make new friends, mainly because literally no one speaks English. And if people do speak English, it's like maybe a handful that you will meet at least. So it's very hard to make friendships due to the language barrier, and this can make the place so lonely, like very lonely. So the mistake I did was, because I live in a small city and I couldn't really meet people who speak English. There's hardly any foreigners when I go out, so I was just like, I can't speak to the locals because wow, my Chinese so bad. And if I can't speak to the locals, how can I be friends with them, right? So because of this, I felt really alone, and I just needed my friends and my family, but they weren't here. So what I did was I called home a lot more often. That's like the worst thing that I ever did to myself, because at the end of every call I felt worse. I felt like they're deserting me. I called home so much, but what I realized was that calling home just made me even more lonelier than I was. So the first tip that I would give you is try to call home as little as possible. So right now my mom and I are at a twice a week basis. So I call home twice a week, and that has been actually cool. Tip number 2. Now that you're not calling home so much, you need to start making friends or socializing. So if you're in China and you're in a small city, try to start learning Chinese. I found that most people wanted to be my friend, but they just couldn't speak my language, so they felt like it was a bit impossible. But once they realized that I was trying to learn their language, that's how they approached me and started speaking to me and trying to be my friend. So yeah, so if you start learning Chinese, it'll bring you much closer to the people around you, and it will also allow them to try to interact with you. And then secondly, if you want to make friends and you're in bigger cities where you can have more experts or something like that, you can join expert groups. So if you're from South Africa, go onto Facebook. There's usually like a South Africans living in Beijing, South Africans living in this group, so you can always, or South Africans living in China, and you can just post in the group, hey, does anyone live in this city, your city, right? And then that way you can find people from your country who live in those cities. For people like me who live in smaller cities, you can find people who live in nearby cities, big cities. For instance, I live about an hour and a half from Guangzhou and an hour and a half from Foshan, which has a larger expat community. And because of this, I just made friends with people who live in those cities, and during the weekends I go visit them or they come visit me. That way I get to explore another city with someone that I can speak to, or someone who goes through what I go through, and then they also can come to my city and get to explore my city. So it's almost like friends with benefits, but not that kind of benefits. Okay, and then the other tip to meeting locals who at least speak English. So another tip to meeting friends, particularly locals who can speak English, is something which I discovered by mistake. But anyways, there's an app called Hello Talk, which allows one person to connect with another person who speaks a language that they want to learn. For example, I want to learn Chinese, so the app allows me to connect to a Chinese person who can help me learn Chinese, and then in return I can help them learn the language that they want to learn, like English. What I've realized though is that the app has people from all over China, including my city. There's literally over 60 people who are in my city. So I was like, oh, this is amazing. So what I did was I connected with them and I started speaking to them, and we started chatting. They were helping me with my Chinese, I was helping them with their English. With the people that I really liked and we clicked, I went to tea with them, lunch, dinner, and that interaction progressed to friendship. So yeah, it's not really meant for that. Maybe it is, but yeah, if you want local friends, then that's definitely a good way to do it. But what's nice about someone who's local is that they can also help you navigate around your city. The third tip is find an activity to fill your time. So I know that not many people are good at socializing, and not many people are able to make friends as easily. In those situations, you can fill your free time with an activity. Usually I will try to learn a new skill through an online course or learn Chinese. That keeps me so busy because I have so many goals that, for instance, I'm like, by this month I need to have learned this amount of vocabulary, and this will require me to do this, this and that. And because of that goal, I can use my free time to achieve that goal, which means that I don't really have a lot of time to sit and feel miserable. So if you're not really learning Chinese, you can learn another skill like sewing, painting, singing. Can you learn that? Singing, dancing. You can literally find something that you've always wanted to do and try to learn it. And talking about things that you can try to do, activities that you can try to do, you could also do activities that are more public or that include other people, such as joining a dance group, going jogging or running, and things like that, because that way you're in a social setting which allows you to meet new people. Tip number 4, if you're really struggling and you just feel like, wow, wisha. I really couldn't think of an English way of saying wisha, but yeah, you are going wishing. You're just like, wow, I'm just going through the most and I need help. Then feel free to either speak to people in expert groups. So for instance, I know the South African expert group on WeChat, for instance, are very supportive, and when someone has a problem and they talk about it, people are able to come either suggest solutions or try to help them. So it's really important that when you don't have a solid support structure around you, that you use those kinds of platforms. But also, if you have a good school, like I have a good school, so whenever I don't really necessarily feel like China, or like I feel lonely, I just tell my colleagues or friends who are in my office, I'm like, today I'm not really so good, I feel so homesick, or something like that. And what they do is, for instance, on weekends when they go away, they just like, oh Trish, would you like to go with us, we're going to this place, or oh Trish, would you like to come over to my house, we can watch movies and do. So people are willing to open up their houses or include you in their activities, as long as you let them know that, hey, I'm struggling, can you, help me if possible? So it's really important that when you do struggle, you realize that there are people who can help you or who are willing to help you. You just need to ask for help. And the last and final thing is, please know that you're not the only one dealing with this. So many people are dealing with it. The only difference is they don't know how to talk about it. They don't know where to go. So it's really important that you realize that you're not alone. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any suggestions of how someone can deal with loneliness, please put it down in the comments below. And guys, we are almost on 2,000 subscribers, so please subscribe. And if you have any video suggestions, please put them in the comment as well. 再见, goodbye.